Hello everyone, it is Dr. Kelly Cassidy here, clinical psychologist and owner at Cassidy Psychology in Mount Pleasant and Canning Vale. I want to talk to everyone today about how to be happy. And I guess I should give a bit of a disclaimer with this. It's going to come with a bit of disappointment because unfortunately it's simply not possible for us to be happy all of the time. There are these big myths that pervade in our society about happiness, and we kind of feel like we all should be feeling happy all of the time, and if we're not, there must be something terribly wrong with us. And I guess this idea about happiness, it's based on these myths, as I said. The first one is that we are supposed to be happy all the time, and that's just simply not true. Our emotions are ever changing. As human beings, we're meant to experience the whole gamut of human emotion simply because our emotions are communicating with us about how we feel. And we can't be in a state of happiness, joy and pleasure and all those kind of what we'd call good feelings all of the time. It's just not possible. Our emotions change just like the weather does, and that's to be expected. The next problem with happiness as an end point, if you like, is that you're going to feel good and you're going to feel pleasant all of the time. Now, again, that's simply not possible. Even the most joyful things that you've ever experienced in your life come to an end. I know for myself as a parent, I find great joy in my children. On the flip side, I also experience a lot of frustration, anxiety, guilt, you name it, all sorts of different emotions that come up with being a parent. That doesn't detract from the fact that I also experience great joy from it. It's simply that, again, as I first said, we experience a full range of emotions. And lastly, the problem with this idea of happiness is that if we're not happy, there must be something wrong with us, that it's completely not normal to not be happy. And I always kind of think of, this concept of the grass is always greener when I think about this, that we can look out and see other people being happy and having fun, and then we look back at ourselves and think, oh, well, there must be something wrong with me because I'm not doing what they're doing. The fact of the matter is we simply don't know what's going on in other people's lives. We're just seeing a snapshot in any given moment. And again, going back to it, life is full of ups and downs. And that doesn't mean that we're not experiencing what I call a rich, full and meaningful life. And to me, that's what happiness is about. So I guess instead of kind of focusing on this idea of how to be happy, I'd flip it around and say, okay, well, I'm going to experience lots of different emotions, but how do I prevent myself from falling into a full-blown depression? Because that's certainly something that we want to avoid, and it's definitely something that we can do something about. So to do that, we need to take care of our mental health, and there's lots of things that we can do. We can make sure that we're exercising regularly, because that's not just for our physical health, it's for our mental health as well. We can make sure that we're getting enough sleep. When we sleep better, we function better, and our mood also improves. We can connect with people. Again, to human beings, that connection is incredibly important. We can practice mindfulness. I've spoken about that a few times before. But we certainly know the research is telling us that when we practice mindfulness, we improve our mood. We can do things that matter to us. If we're not doing the things that are important to us, then of course we're not going to feel like we're living a rich and meaningful life. So make sure you're taking the time to do things that matter to you. And also another one that I've spoken about in the past is practice gratitude. Again, the research tells us that if we know how to be grateful, and if we're on a regular basis practicing being grateful, we improve our mood and we feel better. Does it mean that we'll feel happy necessarily? No. But generally, if we took an average over time of mood, if we're practicing all of these things that I'm suggesting right now, chances are our mood on average is going to be higher. And that's more than anything what we're looking for. Now, obviously, it is important to experience happiness in your life, and I encourage you to do that, to make sure you're taking the time to go and do things that bring you joy. All I'm suggesting is to recognise that it's a state, and it will come and it will go, but it will return at a different point in time, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, so practicing things that are good for our mental health is likely to make us feel like we're living more of the life that we want to live. Does that equate to happiness? Not necessarily, but chances are, yes, you're going to have more of those pleasant feelings. If you want to know some more about this, there's a great book that I highly recommend called The Happiness Trap by Dr. Russ Harris, and it's a really good read, an easy read, to give you some more information about how to create a full, rich and meaningful life. If you wanted to even go that step further and find out a bit more about this process and what underlies it, which is a treatment called acceptance and commitment therapy, contact us at the practice and let us know, and we can walk you through it. You know, it's not just for people who are experiencing depression or anxiety or some other mental health condition. This is preventative as well. It's about finding those ways to take care of our mental health. So, I think that's all for me today. As always, here at Cassidy Psychology, we're working together with you to help you flourish and thrive. I will look forward to coming to you again next week, and bye for now.